Yesterday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem both gave testimony on how this administration has been bypassing the courts to implement policies. Take a look.
What is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right to...
Let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas
right
corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President
habeas
Lincoln
corpus,
used it.
Excuse me. Habeas corpus is the legal principle that requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people.
There is a division in our government between the federal branch and the judicial branch. No judge in the judicial branch cannot tell me or the president how to conduct foreign policy.
Oh, boy. Didn't he go to law school this
He did.
What is, I mean, are people, how long is my question? How long do you think people are going to be okay with people interpreting?
Well, they'll be okay with it as long as it serves their political interest. And by that, I mean, this shouldn't be a right and left thing. This is an American thing. This whole country is based on the foundation. Yet when you talk to someone who is a rabid Second Amendment person, they don't care if there's any nuance to gun responsibility. They are like, don't touch it, it's in the Constitution. But then when something is not aligned with what they want done, they conveniently look past it. So I think people need to realize this should not be a political division. This is a foundational part of what birthed this country.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And I think what's so...
Tell us what habeas corpus is first.
Well, habeas corpus is in the Constitution.
But exactly
it's Article 1.
Yeah, she just read it.
It's Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2. And it basically gives the government sort of restraints on whether or not they can just take someone or whether or not they can take someone's civil liberties away, right? And it has happened about 4 times, but it happened really during the Civil War because you want to prevent, it can't be suspended unless in cases of rebellion or invasion. And so during the Civil War, they used it to get spies and stuff like that. But the bottom line is Marco Rubio is a lawyer. And I think what's so offensive is his definition of the separation of powers. You know, bottom line is, and I've said it on the show many times, there are 3 branches of government. We don't teach civics enough. One of the branches is executive. That's where the president is. One of them is the judicial branch. That's where the Supreme Court and all the federal courts and all the courts are. And the next one is the legislative branch, which is where Congress is, right? They are co-equal. They all have oversight. It was a systems of checks and balances that the founders brilliantly thought of because they didn't want a king, as you mentioned, Whoopi. They didn't want an executive to be able to not follow the law. Power unchecked. And that's what's happening. So for Marco Rubio to say, the courts can't tell me what to do, every American, as you're saying, Sarah, should be very, very concerned about that because that means that the government, the executive branch, can snatch you off the street too, even if you're an American citizen. They can deport you
so
too.
He's lying,
I see this slightly differently. Kristi Noem may be a puppy killer. She's not dumb. She knows what habeas corpus is. She served in Congress for
she may be a puppy killer.
Literally, the Latin habeas corpus means show me the body. It's your right to appear before a judge once you're detained for a crime. It's basic. It's a basic constitutional concept. Rubio's answer is slightly more nuanced in my viewpoint. He is right that the president is who determines foreign policy, and a court can't simply intervene to say we don't like your foreign policy. When the courts can intervene is when your foreign policy denies people a constitutional right, like due process,
and it's illegal,
which is what the concept is here.
Which he should know.
But I'm very pro-courts in this moment. I have found that I feel like the courts have stood up for where they see their power and where they feel like they have an ability to step in on overreach from the executive branch. Congress, I do not agree with, though. Congress has spent the last 30 years ceding more and more power to the executive branch, whether it was endless wars and not authorizing them, whether it's just basically allowing a president to rule by executive fiat, and they're going to realize they've massively weakened themselves.
I don't know that Democrats have been doing that.
Let me ask you two a question. Is it possible that she actually knows what habeas corpus is?
I think she does.
I don't think she does.
Really
I think she gave the...
She's appealing to an audience of one, and we know who he is.
Trump wanted.
I don't think the
I mean, or
killer
is she
knows.
that dumb? That's my question.
I don't think she's dumb. I think she gave the answer.
I think the puppy killer is not that smart, and I also think that she is not a lawyer. And
Habeas canine, hello.
Yeah, she does. She does not know. And I will say, I think
You don't need to be a
Democrats.
lawyer to know what habeas corpus is.
Well, I think to understand the nuances. I mean, you may have studied it, and I've certainly studied it in the law, and you may have studied it, but the average person doesn't know it. And I don't think Kristi Noem knows it.
You know what? I think most people have watched enough procedurals on television. If they know nothing else, they know the writ of habeas corpus.
She explains it excellently.
But I will say this in terms of the Democrats, they voted for Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio got confirmed with a 99-0 vote. The Democrats also voted for him.
They were fooled.
They were fooled.
Yeah, he was the first person who came in with like this many qualifications compared to everyone else.
Exactly. They're having buyer's remorse. I think they're having buyer's remorse.
I think lots of folks are having buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
I think there's lots of reasons to be having buyer's remorse, but the reason I say that is because I think they're trying to discourage us from having hope, or for believing that we can make the changes that need to be made, and you know they need to be made. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit on, you know changes need to be made. When people say, oh, I don't think this group should have this immunization, or they say, oh, these people need to go, and I'm gonna snatch up everybody. That's not working for anybody.
We want people also.
Well, but we want people to go. When you talk about Barack Obama, he deported more people than any other president.
But he did it legally.
But he did it legally. Yes. And that's what people want. They want stuff done legally.
With due process.
When you do it illegally, you come back around and people change it. So you want to get it done right so it stays done so you can move forward. So don't get discouraged. Just remember, when it's time to go out and vote, you got to do it. You got to get up and do it.